Here at the Fjord Oyster Bank with Sheriff Spurling for our monthly conversation before the Sheriff's Luncheon. How are you?
Doing great. Good
Saw
to see
you.
you,
Good to
except for
see
this
you.
cast.
Well,
Look at this.
I
Look at
know,
this.
right? That's what happens.
He's running marathons.
Don't run backwards if you're doing a marathon. That's probably the goal here. Saw you at the parade, and you had the chance to kind of walk alongside Chief Kostad with Shelton Police. It was his last kind of event, and now Officer Patton has taken over. He's the new Chief of Police for the city of Shelton. Tell me what you know about him and kind of that good working relationship that you have to have, especially when there's only one incorporated city.
Yeah, it's super important that we have a great relationship with Shelton PD, and we have with multiple chiefs all the way through. Chris was a great partner. Over 20 years with Shelton. He started off his career down in California as a law enforcement officer, and he's moved on to another position. Some people retire when they're eligible. Other people keep going. I may be one of the silly ones that just keeps going.
Keep going.
And now the new chief, he's been there 19 years and been very involved and been basically the assistant chief or the captain for the last couple years, as long as Chief Kostad has been the chief. So Patton is going to do well. And then they promoted a new captain. I got to go down to the city council meeting on Tuesday and be there for the swear-in, and that's always a good thing, and excited. And, it's another chapter in the city of Shelton's history.
I was talking with Deputy Colbinson with the Sheriff's Office here at the parade, actually, and he told me that this past week he was alongside a bunch of fire officials and PIOs and folks in fire services. They're kind of gaming out what it's going to look like this year for potential wildfires. And of course, last year we had the big damages up there at Lake Cushman and all the huge fires that we had there. What are you learning about that? And what are some things that you want to tell the public on remaining safe, remaining vigilant, and trying to keep those fires at a zero if possible?
The big concern we hear from the community over and over again is how are we going to prevent what has happened with the Bear Gulch Fire? And that at this point, it's still, the Forest Service believes that it was started by fireworks, kids up playing with fireworks and shooting it off. So we're all going to have to be vigilant. It's almost impossible to regulate that.
Yeah.
And we do have two tribes that sell fireworks that aren't necessarily even legal in the rest of the county. So there's that dynamic to it. Preparedness. One of the things that we're pushing, and this may not be really answering your question, but it is in an indirect way, and that is the Firewise Map Your Neighborhood combining with our Neighborhood Watch.
Okay.
And what I'm talking about there is eyes and ears of every small community that gets in touch with us and helps us to understand what's going on. It's that see something, say something. We may or may not be able to respond to every call. We get a tremendous influx of fireworks calls around the 4th of July, and we just don't have the resources to respond to all of them. We're dealing also on the 4th of July. Sometimes we've had up to 250 911 calls in a 24-hour period. And, you've got 6 or 7 deputies out there running over 1,000 square miles. It's impossible for us to go to all of them. So understanding that, get as much information if you see criminal activity that you possibly can and report it. And we may even be able to follow up later. Or, again, we're looking for patterns and other things. And maybe a deputy's free to be able to respond to that. So I just encourage everybody to be patient with each other. We're going to have a lot of influx over this next month in our community from what we're hearing because of the World Cup.
Oh,
as
sure.
well.
Yeah.
And Bremerton is actually a fan zone. So they're getting a lot of people, which means often, if they're visiting in the Northwest, they're going to come out to the Canal.
Yeah.
They're going to come out and visit our area as well. So just everybody's eyes and ears are going to be important to us over these next couple months.
How will some of those new features that MACECOM has implemented with the AVA non-emergency line, how do you anticipate that helping, especially when those call volumes come up and it's not a major emergency, but it's past 10 o'clock and now my neighbor's shooting off a firework or something? Do you think the public's ready to make that switch for those calls to the non-emergency line, or is that still something, the education process?
It's going to be an education process. And I think those of us that grew up without artificial intelligence, it's always a challenge to start keeping up with some of the electronic advancements and the technological advancements that we have in our society. But it's here whether we like it or not.
Right.
And here's the reality of it. Before, we had 5 911 lines. That was it. With the new program that we have up to 20. And AI will separate the non-emergency from the emergency and direct it. So if we had a major event like today, Hood Canal School was doing a drill for if the dam broke, and they shut down 101 and had the kids travel across Highway 101 up a trail to high ground, because they have a 20-minute evacuation drill that they're required to do. If something like that actually happened, this system would put all of the calls that are involving that event to one particular dispatcher, so that it would be better continuity within the dispatch center. At least that's the way I'm understanding it. It hasn't really unfolded yet.
Yeah.
We've just kind of been educated on it. I think that's the way it's designed to go, and it'll really make our dispatchers that much more efficient in big emergencies, give more service for our community, and better 911 coverage.
Last time we talked, we brought up some of the legislative changes, including that committee or whatever that was going to potentially look at the sheriffs across the state. Do you have any updates on that in the last month, or is it still just going through the legal system? Or?
Well, it is going through the legal system, but there were 35 sheriffs that were up for election, and filing week was the first week in May.
Right.
So they put the emergency clause on it, saying that it had to take place the moment that they passed the bill, which is not normally the case. Normally it's 90 days after the bill. So the moment it was signed into law, it took effect, I think, that very within a couple days. Well, the Washington State Sheriff's Association and multiple sheriffs were now part of that, and multiple prosecutors and Board of County Commissioners have signed on to lawsuits. There are 2 separate lawsuits that are saying that it's unconstitutional. It was put before, from what I understand, random draw in front of a judge in Thurston County. That judge, she said that it appears that the legislature has overreached, and she ruled that at this point she had enough to believe that it was unconstitutional. So she put an injunction on the law under the first lawsuit. And then the second lawsuit came, and they put a second injunction on it. What an injunction does is it freezes it until it can be heard through the proper channels in court. Then the Attorney General's office, and this is again my understanding that I've been told from others, filed for a stay against the injunctions because filing week was the next week, and asked for those injunctions to be stayed until filing week was over, at least something along those lines. And the Washington State Supreme Court, a commissioner, heard that and denied it. So that was encouraging. They are all seeing the same things that we see, that it's taking away the authority provided by the Constitution of Washington State to the voters within the state to pick or remove their elected officials.
Is that a lawsuit? Are you, Sheriff Spurling, the plaintiff on that? Is the Sheriff's Department, or is the county? How do you put your name to that, and what aspect did you put your name to?
The Mason County prosecutor and the Board of County Commissioners have agreed to be part of the lawsuit that's coming from individual counties.
Sure.
And the injured party are the citizens and the sheriff.
Okay.
So my name is not particularly on that. Now, I'm also an executive board member for the Washington Sheriff's Association, but I'm signed on to that one in a separate capacity through the association.
I understand what you're saying. I didn't know if it was something where the sheriff yourself proper felt like it was something against them personally, but I see what you're saying, where it's voters within the county are being disrepresented by the law.
And the sheriff. So what our prosecutor has done is signed on to that lawsuit, and our county commissioners agreed with that so that they will protect their citizens and their office of sheriff, whether it's me or somebody else sitting in that seat.
What else is going on? Any new promotions or new folks? How are the roles there in the sheriff's office?
Our staffing is actually really good on the patrol side. And, you know, I just went to the WASPIC conference, which has not all, but all are invited, all the sheriffs and all the chiefs of police of Washington State. And I talked with a lot of them, and that's we're trending up across the state. You remember just a
Yeah.
couple years ago, we couldn't get
No, you couldn't
anybody
get
to
anybody.
even apply. Everybody seems to be on the patrol side, getting pretty close to being full. Our corrections side is still lacking a little bit, but we've really greatly improved there. I think people are wanting jobs. The economy is demanding it. We're coming out of COVID. We're coming out of a lot of things and a lot of changes that our state has gone through. So it's looking good right now.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that too, and the way a lot of times either society or government or politics works, it really is a pendulum.
Yes.
And we did see it swing in a pretty wide swath to almost a real anti-law enforcement sentiment, not only here in the state, but across the nation. And it seems like it's coming back closer to some sort of a middle ground there where people do realize, out of the however many there are every so often, like in any industry,
Yep.
bad apples that kind of taint the whole batch. But the overall, you guys all do this because it's a desire to keep the community safe and protected. And it seems like it's kind of swung back a little bit.
It was interesting. WASPIC presented a presentation on, and I'm not sure the group that did the research, whether it's Pew or one of the other research groups, and they were asking people, who do you trust more?
Sure.
And law enforcement was one of the highest in the United States, above airplane pilots, above doctors, above even clergy at times. Overall, that is the consensus. And that's pretty consistent. It's usually some loud voices that maybe have personally been injured by what they perceive as misconduct by law enforcement. And they're pretty active, involved in promoting that. And it'll sway a lot of people that oftentimes don't even have contact with law enforcement.
Yeah. It's kind of one of those loudest voice in the room, kind of gets the attention, and then people go, well, let's dig in a little deeper onto what they're actually saying.
Yeah.
I think. Well, very good. It's going to be, again, like Ryan was saying, a busy summer with the World Cup. Obviously, people are always coming into Mason County, checking out what we have to offer. And so we just want to make sure, as residents and citizens, we give them grace, give them welcome, and then make sure that if you do have what would be considered a non-emergency, call that non-emergency line 421-4441,
Yes,
I believe is it. And
Wow.
I'll put that note on there too. But that's the number to call so you can get through. I've called that system with working with them, and it is really pretty amazing how it works and allows the dispatchers to work on life emergency and life-threatening 911 calls.
So do I get to sign your CAS?
I'd love for you to sign it. I'd love for you to sign it. Why not?
We're back in high school.
That's it. Sheriff Spurling, these conversations are brought to you by our great friends at our community credit union. And we got a lunch to get to with a lot of great folks from the Cushman community talking about other things. Good
All
to
right,
see
thanks,
you.
Jeff.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.